Welcome to the HFY Tales channel. Remember to like and subscribe if you like the story. Enjoy and take care.
The air hung heavy with a mix of desperation and decay, a testament to humanity's dual nature, capable of creation yet rife with destruction. On the outskirts of the desolate city, the crumbling buildings stood as relics of a time when the streets were bustling with life. Now, they were overrun with weeds, shadows lurking between broken walls like unspoken fears. Elias, the protagonist, was no stranger to this twisted world. A scavenger by necessity, he had learned to navigate the dangers that lurked in every corner. The oppressive regime had made him wary. The streets were often perilous, filled with hunters tracking those they deemed monsters. His heart beat with a surge of defiance and hope, traits extinguished in most of his peers. His mother had taught him empathy. He would not abandon it. It was on one of those murky evenings, as he rummaged through the remnants of a forgotten era, that he first heard her. A faint whimper echoed through the alley, drawing him into the shadows. Curiosity pulled him closer, and he crouched, peering around the edge of a shattered wall. There she was, a figure crouched in the dark, skin tinted a deep emerald and adorned with strange, bioluminescent patterns coursing like veins along her arms. Her hair cascaded like a waterfall of stars, glimmering faintly against the darkness. She was skeletal, her ribs visible through her shimmering skin. Fear sank in his chest, but it was the vulnerability in her wide, luminescent eyes that shattered his instinct to flee. "Please," her voice was a rasp, barely above a whisper. Elias felt a swell of compassion rushing over him, conflicting with the society that deemed her a monster. He stepped forward cautiously. "Are you hungry?" Her gaze flared with surprise, as if he had spoken a foreign language. Slowly, she nodded, her large eyes widening further. For a moment, the weight of their worlds hung between them, a bridge precariously built on the crumbs of trust. Drawing from his pocket, Elias produced the last of his provisions, an apple, bruised but edible. "Here," he offered, extending his hand. The alien woman hesitated, then took the apple with trembling fingers. Her skin gleamed even brighter as she held the fruit, as if it radiated hope. As she took a tentative bite, Elias felt a rush of warmth spread through him. He had shared hope, a connection that surpassed species. The world outside their dark refuge vanished momentarily. It was just the two of them, overcoming the whispers of a society that would see them both fit for extermination. Suddenly, from the distance, the thunderous sound of boots could be heard approaching. His heart pounded violently in his chest. He knew the hunters were nearby. Her kind were always their targets. "Come with me," he urged, urgency in his tone. "We need to hide now." Her eyes filled with fear, but a spark of determination flickered in her expression, and she nodded. Together, they slipped into the shadows, binding their fates and igniting a fragile alliance that would change the course of their lives forever. Elias took swift, silent steps through the labyrinth of alleyways, the alien woman shadowing him with an air of grace. They maneuvered through the debris of what used to be a vibrant marketplace, a place now devoid of laughter, only the echo of despair remaining. Every flickering light, every whisper of wind felt like a key to survival, urging him to keep moving, to protect her. "Where are we going?" she asked, her voice low and tinged with uncertainty. "To a safe place," Elias replied, glancing back to ensure they weren't being followed. "I know a spot just beyond the radius. It should be safe for now." As they walked, he stole glances at her, the way she held herself, as if every moment was a reminder of her otherness. Amelia, as he learned her name from an earlier moment of connection, was strikingly out of place. Her vibrant colors contrasted against the dullness of the forsaken world around them. He admired her beauty, even as his mind worked to push aside the notion that his feelings for her might be dangerous. "Why do they hunt us?" she asked, a trembling note in her voice. "It's easier for them to fear what they don't understand," Elias replied. "They don't see the truth, the beauty, the spirit. Just monsters." Amelia turned her gaze down the path, her bioluminescent patterns flickering softly with her anxiety. "I'm not a monster," she whispered. "I want to be understood, can't they see?" Elias felt the weight of her questions sink into his chest. It's hard for them. Fear drives them. He hesitated, then added, "But I see you, Amelia. You're not a monster." They reached an abandoned building, its walls covered in graffiti and memories long gone. Elias pushed open the creaking door and gestured for her to enter first. She stepped inside, her presence illuminating the dim room, as if their shared moments of kindness brought warmth to the cold space. As they settled in, Elias took out a small, rusty lantern he had salvaged earlier. The flickering light cast soft shadows on the walls, offering them a semblance of warmth and safety. The air tasted stale, yet he felt a sense of accomplishment. They had made it for now. "Eat," he urged, handing her a small piece of bread he had rescued from a nearby cafe. She accepted it slowly, her fingers brushing against his hand, sending a shiver down his spine. "Thank you," she said, her voice airy as she took a bite. He noticed how her eyes sparkled with a hint of gratitude, a baffling contrast to the bitterness they had both known. Elias felt a warmth expanding within him, was a hope. As Amelia chewed, he began to open up about himself, sharing stories of his life before the regime, tales of laughter in the midst of the chaos, of his mother's gentle reminders about compassion in a world filled with cruelty. "You're brave," she said after a long moment of silence. "Most people would have left me to fend for myself." His heart tightened at her words. "I can't stand by and watch innocent beings suffer. We deserve better, don't we?" With newfound tenderness, Amelia leaned closer. "Do you think we could change their minds? Show them that we're not so different?" Elias pondered her question. "It won't be easy, but I believe we can try. If we can somehow show them that you're more than just a monster, that you're capable of kindness." Her luminescence brightened as she smiled, a radiant beam of hope that lit up even the darkest corners of their world. Together, perhaps? The connection between them deepened, their shared resolve solidifying a bond far greater than his initial compassion. As Elias looked into her eyes, he saw determination reflected back. The fear of being hunted seemed to dissipate, replaced by a warm alliance against the shadows. But then came the distant sound of shouting, a harsh reminder of their reality. The hunters were combing the area, their voices cracking through the normally still night air. "Elias, what do we do?" Amelia's voice quivered with panic. "Stay quiet," he instructed, his heart racing. They crouched low, pressing themselves against the walls. The noise grew louder, the hunters moving closer, boots pounding against the ground, a menacing chorus in the night. Elias's mind raced with thoughts. "We can't let them find you. We have to escape." They crept towards the back of the building, their movements smooth yet frantic. With each step, their hearts beat in sync, reflected in their shared breath, a silent pact forming between them. Finally, they reached a window at the rear of the room. Elias peered outside, scanning the area for any signs of escape. The street seemed quiet, but the hunter's shouts reminded him time was running out. "Boost me up," Elias whispered urgently. Amelia placed her hands on his waist, effortlessly lifting him towards the window. He scrambled through, his body catching against the cold air. With a quick look back, he extended his arm down. "Now you." With surprising agility, she climbed up, her form fitting through the window in a graceful motion. Just as they landed on the other side, footsteps thundered through the building. The danger was real. "Run," Elias urged. Their feet pounded against the pavement, hearts racing faster than the hunters could pursue. Together, they sprinted into the night, their hands clasped tightly, embodying an unspoken promise to each other. They didn't know it yet, but in that chaotic moment, something beautiful had begun. A bond forged not just through survival, but through hope. A flicker of light against the darkness overwhelming their world. The night air felt electric as Elias and Amelia darted into the alleyways, the shadows swallowing them whole. Every instinct urged them to flee, but with each heartbeat, fear mingled with a defiant hope. Together, they could resist the fate imposed upon them. The hunters had not given up easily. Their shouts still echoed behind them, cold and merciless. "They can't get away," a voice boomed, sending a tremor through Elias's nerves. He pushed forward, pulling Amelia close, feeling her rapid breaths against his shoulder. "Where do we go now?" she gasped, glancing back, fear glimmering in her luminescent eyes. "Just a little further," he replied, his voice steady despite the panic coursing through him. "I know a place, a temporary hideout at the edge of the radius. It's less patrolled." With renewed determination, they veered left, cutting through the heart of the city toward a crumbling warehouse that loomed like a relic of a forgotten age. Inside lay remnants of a lifelong past, old crates stacked against the walls, remnants of dreams that had been abandoned. They slipped inside, breathing heavily, hidden against the darkness. The air felt damp and musty, a stark contrast to the electric thrill they had just experienced. Elias could hear the hunters outside, their demands mingling with the sound of shuffling feet as they searched for any signs of movement. "Elias," Amelia whispered, "what if they find us?" "We can't think like that," he replied softly, trying to instill confidence in them both. "We'll keep moving. They'll tire eventually." "I don't want you to get hurt because of me," she said, her eyes filled with worry. Taking her hand, he squeezed it reassuringly. "I chose to help you. That was my decision, and I stand by it. You deserve that chance, just as much as I do. Together, we're stronger." Moments stretched into eternity as they remained hidden, stooped low behind a rotting crate. The hunters' voices echoed through the warehouse, their crude jokes and careless laughter mingling with the fear coursing through Elias's veins. Anger simmered beneath the surface. "Such a waste, really," one hunter scoffed. "Look at them, trapped like rats. They think they can survive." Elias clenched his jaw, his resolve hardening. "They don't see the truth," he muttered, more to himself than to Amelia. Time seemed to slow as the hunters eventually moved on, their laughter fading into the distance. But they wouldn't stop searching. He knew that. Every moment spent huddled in silence only magnified the urgency of their situation. Feeling the weight of unspoken emotions between them, he decided to break the tense silence. "Tell me about your home," he asked quietly. "What was it like?" Her features softened at the inquiry, and for a moment the fear receded. "It was beautiful," she began, her fingers intertwining. "We lived among the stars, in cities that flowed with color and light. We celebrated life. There was a festival for every season, a connection to the universe." "What happened?" Elias asked, captivated by the way her eyes shimmered with memories. "A misunderstanding," she replied, her voice cracking. "They saw us as threats. Our technology, our very existence, they feared it. We tried to reach out, to connect, but fear outweighed understanding. One night, they came. The weight of sorrow hung in the air, and Elias felt his heart ache for her loss. "I'm sorry," he whispered, "but I'm here now," she reminded him, her resolve brightening. "I can't go back to that fear. I don't want to. I promise you, we'll find a way. Together." He felt a surge of determination, as if their collective hope could stand against the annihilation of a fractured world. But as the thoughts of together wove deeper into his heart, so did the fears attached to it. Would they hold on to that hope when confronted with brutal reality? Suddenly, the scratching of nails against the door jolted them back to the present. Elias's breath caught in his throat as shadows danced outside. The hunters had returned, this time sounding more determined. "We need to go," he urged, pulling Amelia up from their hiding spot. Now, they slipped through the back of the warehouse, hearts pounding, as they emerged into the night. They didn't know where they would end up, but the open air felt like a breath of freedom. It was the thrill of escape, but also the risk of being caught. "Where now?" Amelia asked, her luminous features flickering as anxiety mounted. "Just keep running." Elias urged again, every instinct screaming for survival. They darted across a narrow alley, their footsteps echoing against the cobblestones. In that moment, they were no longer just a scavenger and a monster. They were two souls united in a fight against the chaos of the world. But the hunters were relentless. Suddenly, a flash of light illuminated the alley, and a powerful voice called out, "Stop! We have orders to capture the alien." Elias felt his heart race. "This way," he shouted, dragging Amelia toward a side street as the hunters descended upon them, a pack driven by bloodlust. They turned sharply, adrenaline pushing them forward as the narrow alleyway twisted and turned. With every echo of pounding boots, every shout from the hunters, the fear of failure settled heavily on his shoulders. "We can't keep running like this forever," Amelia cried, her breaths coming in shallow gasps. "No, but we can find a way to turn the tide," Elias shouted, fueled by resolve. "We'll find allies. We'll find a way to show them the truth." But doubt gnawed at him as they bolted down another street, the shadows looming larger behind them. Deep in his heart, he understood that their fight for survival was just beginning. As they rounded a corner, Elias pressed against the wall, panting heavily. "We can't keep running," he admitted, knowing that the odds were stacked against them. "But if they catch you, I can't let that happen." Just then, a flicker of motion caught his eye. A small, rebellious band of misfits appeared at the end of the alleyway, cloaked figures that sent a surge of hope through his heart. They had to try for help. With determination, he turned to Amelia, taking her hands in his, grounding them both in the chaos. "We have to trust them. We have to take this leap, together." She nodded, her luminescence glowing fiercely for a moment, and he felt the spark of resolve shining back at him. With their hands clasped tightly, they ran towards the unknown, toward a chance at survival, toward whatever awaited them beyond that alley. Elias and Amelia dashed toward the cloaked figures, the tension palpable as they closed the distance. The rebels loomed in the darkness, their forms half hidden, breath held in anticipation. As they approached, the outline sharpened, individuals dressed in ragged clothing, rough and weary, yet ready to defend their way of life against the oppressive hunters. "Stop! Who goes there?" A voice called, firm and demanding. "It's me, Elias. I'm with someone, the alien," he shouted, desperation lacing his tone as he pulled Amelia closer. Gasps rippled through the group, and they moved to form a protective barrier around him and Amelia. The sudden closeness of the rebels created an atmosphere thick with distrust, but tinged with curiosity. Elias squeezed Amelia's hand, shooting her a reassuring glance. "Elias, you brought her here?" asked Lyra, stepping forward, her fiery hair tousled like a flame against the night. She was a fierce leader among the rebels, bravery radiating from her every movement. "What are you doing with an alien?" "Lyra, please listen," he urged, unable to mask the urgency in his voice. "You have to trust me. She's innocent, being hunted like a wild animal. She deserves a chance." Amelia's luminescent eyes met Lyra's, filled with sincerity and determination. "I'm not here to cause harm. I just want to live and understand this world," she spoke, each word carefully chosen as if trying to weave a bridge between them. Lyra scrutinized Amelia, searching for the monster they had been taught to fear. Hadn't they been conditioned to see her kind as threats? Yet here stood a creature of beauty and grace, equally frightened and vulnerable. "Elias," Lyra said, her voice firm but softer now, "you must understand that this is serious. If the hunters discover we've sheltered her—" Her words trailed off, the implications hanging heavy in the air. "I know the risk, but if we don't take a stand against this fear, then what are we fighting for?" Elias's voice cracked with emotion. "You talk about resistance. How can we oppose the regime whilst we deny the truth of it? Amelia isn't the enemy." The murmurs among the rebels grew louder, uncertainty rippling through the group. Amelia stepped forward, her essence glowing as it intertwined with the dim light surrounding them. "I don't want to be your enemy. Please, give me a chance to show you who I am." Several rebel faces flickered with doubt, but something in Amelia's posture, her strength, the flicker of magic that resonated without words, spoke volumes. Lyra regarded Amelia thoughtfully. "What can you do? Show us you're more than a fearsome alien." Before Elias could respond, Amelia took a deep breath. Slowly, she raised her hands, letting out a soft glow that illuminated the space around them. She concentrated, and tendrils of bioluminescent light sparked to life, dancing between her fingers in brilliant hues of blue and green. With a wave, she formed intricate shapes in the air, a flower blooming, a flickering star. The rebels watched, spellbound, their skepticism wavering. "Beautiful," someone murmured, awe creeping into their voices. Lyra stepped closer, marveling at the display. This could change things. Elias seized the moment. You see, she can create beauty and light, things that can inspire hope. We need that now more than ever. Lyra crossed her arms, narrowing her eyes. But can she fight? Can she lead? I will do whatever it takes to help, Amelia declared, her voice resonating with strength. I want to show humanity that I am not just a monster. I want to help, to join your fight against oppression. This declaration hung in the air like a challenge. The rebels huddled together, exchanging glances filled with uncertainty, but also glimmers of reluctant hope. The fear felt less suffocating, cracked open by the possibility of understanding. Finally, Lyra nodded, the determination in her expression shifting. All right, if we're taking this leap, we need to work together. But know this, trust is earned, and it will take time. Elias felt a wave of relief wash over him. Thank you, Lyra. We'll prove to you that she belongs here with us. As they began to forge alliances and plans, a flicker of smiles spread among the group. Elias felt the camaraderie growing, like a new thread weaving through their shared struggles, a connection fueled by mutual purpose. However, in the back of his mind, the haunting specter of the hunters drummed a steady beat of anxiety. Every moment they spent entwined in the bonds of hope, they flirted with danger. The fleeting trust, the understanding that could change the world, held both promise and peril. Let's move, Lyra commanded, rallying the rebels. We'll need to find a secure location, set up defenses. And Amelia, we'll need to understand more of your abilities. Amelia nodded, newfound determination shining in her eyes. I will do whatever it takes to support you. As they traveled, the urgency of their mission sank into Elias's bones. They weren't just fighting for survival anymore. They were fighting against fear itself, drawing strength from each other, determined to rise above the shadows that threatened to consume them. In that moment, with purpose igniting their resolve, they stepped into the night together, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, together as a newfound family. The rebels assembled in a hidden alcove beyond the main streets, each member lending their strength to the growing resistance against the regime. They worked tirelessly to build defenses, turning the derelict building into a fortress of creativity and unity. As night descended upon the city, Amelia felt a mix of fear and exhilaration. This was her chance to stand alongside her newfound allies, to prove her worth. Elias remained at her side, offering words of encouragement and support. We're in this together, he reminded her. We need to make this work, Amelia replied, her breath steadying as she focused on the defiant glow of her bioluminescent abilities. But how can we truly change their minds? Lyra orchestrated the planning, her voice authoritative and reassuring. We need to intercept the next group of hunters, show them that we can unite in strength. If we can present an undeniable truth about Amelia and our intentions, they might reconsider their stance, she declared. In the weeks that followed, they honed their strategies and forged their team's identity. Amelia became a beacon of inspiration, sharing her own culture and the intricacies of her world, one filled with harmony, joy, and resilience, striking a stark contrast to the hunters' fabricated fear. As the rebels trained, Elias found himself drawn closer to Amelia, his connection to her deepening with each shared laughter, each fleeting touch. Her presence sparked warmth in his heart, and he admired her courage in the face of danger. But amid the camaraderie, anxiety settled like a heavy fog. The hunters were still out there, relentless in their pursuit, and the fragile alliance held the weight of uncertain fate. One night, the hour drew near for their first act of defiance. Under the cloak of darkness, they prepared to intercept a group of hunters rumored to patrol a nearby bridge. Stay sharp, Lyra reminded the group, her expression fierce. Tonight, we show them what we stand for. As they hid in the shadows, the sound of boots crunching gravel filled the air. Elias's heart raced in anticipation, holding his breath as the hunters marched by, unaware of the rebels lying in wait. Suddenly, a low growl emanated from below the bridge. The alert shouted by one of the hunters echoed across the night air. Look, the rebels! Now, Lyra commanded, and chaos erupted. The rebels surged forward, armed with confusion and determination. Amelia's luminous glow radiated as she unleashed her powers, creating a brilliant display to dazzle the hunters. Shapes twisted and danced in the air, capturing their attention. "Hold your ground," one of the hunters shouted, but their confidence faltered as they faced the sight of fiery resistance. Elias fought alongside his allies, heart pounding as he felt the weight of every movement. The skirmish unfolded, both sides grappling for control. Amid the frenzy, he felt Amelia close by, her presence grounding him. Suddenly, one of the hunters lunged toward Amelia. Elias' instincts kicked in, propelled by adrenaline. "Amelia, look out!" he shouted, rushing forward. With a swift motion, she conjured a shield of shimmering light, a barrier that engulfed both of them. The hunter collided harmlessly against the magical wall, momentarily stunned. "You won't touch her," Elias yelled, his voice ringing with fierce protectiveness. Amelia turned, relief flooding her features as she met his gaze. In that heartbeat of chaos, something shifted. They were not just fighting for survival, but for a future crafted together. The battle raged on, but as the rebels held their ground, something extraordinary happened. The hunters began to falter, their confusion growing, their fear rising against the vibrant display of solidarity and defiance. "This isn't a monster," Lyra shouted, stepping forward, voice amplified by courage. "This is a woman who seeks peace and unity. Fear shall not dictate our fates." The words hung in the air like a challenge, a turning point for the faction. Elias locked eyes with the lead hunter, a gaze filled with desperation and truth. "You think you know fear? We've lived it, but we rise above it together." Suddenly, in a moment Merrick, the lead hunter, hesitated. Something flickered in his eyes, a glimpse of recognition and perhaps the dawning of realization. In that split second, it seemed as if the world slowed, the night air filled with unspoken possibilities, the weight of centuries of misunderstanding rushing against the tide of change. The rebel fighters pressed forward, standing as a unified front, fueled by their shared hope. The cries of battle mingled with the urgent need for understanding. As Amelia released another pulse of glowing energy, the shimmering light wove between the rebels and hunters, creating a bridge of reigniting understanding. "Join us, or step away," Amelia cried, her voice echoing across the tense battlefield. In that moment, as the dust settled and the flickering lights receded, she felt a wave of connection ripple through the crowd, a blend of fear, uncertainty, and an awakening of empathy. With a resolute breath, the lead hunter lowered his weapon, looking to his comrades. "We need to rethink everything." The tension hung thick in the air, but hope erupted in a collective gasp from the rebels. Their fight had not been in vain. Slowly, the hunters backed away, leaving behind not just the remnants of a failed mission, but the threads of change woven into the very fabric of their world. As the chaos subsided, Elias turned to Amelia, his heart swelling with pride and affection. "We did this together." She looked back at him, and in her eyes, he saw the promise of a future forged in the union of their worlds. "No, Elias, we are just beginning. Together." They clasped hands tightly, united by the battles they had fought and the discovery of something deeper. Love unencumbered by fear, a beautiful union of human and alien, and a light that could guide their paths forward. As dawn broke over the horizon, the first rays of light pierced through the darkness. It illuminated the scars of the night, but also the hope that glimmered anew, a testament to their struggle, their love, and their shared promise of a future free from the chains of fear. Together, they walked towards the dawn, prepared to carve a new path where understanding reigned and love flourished, a world where beings of every origin could coexist in harmony. The sun climbed higher in the sky, its golden rays spilling over the remnants of the night like a warm embrace. As the city awakened, the echoes of the previous night faded, replaced by the sounds of life stirring, a series of birdsong and whispers of new potential. Elias stood alongside Amelia, their fingers intertwined, as they gazed out over the horizon from the rooftop of the rebel sanctuary. The weight of the night's events still lingered in their hearts, yet an air of optimism breathed life into their spirits. "Look at how the light reflects off the ruins," Amelia noted, her voice melodic against the backdrop of awakening nature. "It reminds me of home, every color representing a story, a connection to the universe. "It's beautiful," Elias replied, admiration evident in his eyes. "Just like you." With a delicate smile, she turned toward him, her vibrant patterns shimmering softly in the sunlight. "And just like this place can be, if we nurture it with understanding." In the days following their unexpected victory against the hunters, the barricade between human and alien began to dissolve. Dialogue sparked among the rebels and hunters alike, revealing shared fears and aspirations. Communities once divided by fear now gathered to listen and learn from one another. Amelia took the lead in these conversations, a bridge between cultures and hearts. With each story she shared, recalling the festivals of her homeworld, the unity they fostered, and the value of shared existence, understanding flourished. Elias stood proudly beside her, embodying the strength of a unified front. Together, they became advocates for coexistence, their journey transforming from a mere survival struggle to a movement driven by love and hope. Weeks turned into months, and the once shattered city began to heal. Artisans from both worlds collaborated to create murals, painting their shared history on the walls, each stroke echoing resilience and newfound kinship. The air buzzed with laughter and music as festivals celebrating both cultures merged, highlighting joy rather than division. One evening, as the sun painted the sky in hues of orange and pink, Elias and Amelia hosted their first event, a celebration of unity. Rebels, hunters, humans, and aliens mingled beneath adoring bioluminescent artwork created by Amelia and her new friends. The atmosphere felt electric, charged with possibility. "This is what we fought for," Elias said, watching the joyous interactions unfold, a warm pride swelling within. Amelia leaned into him, her presence calming and anchoring. "It feels like a dream," she whispered. "Can you believe how far we've come?" "It's a reality we crafted together," he replied, his heart full. All it took was the courage to fight for change and the strength to embrace the unknown. As the celebration continued, Elias took a moment away from the crowd, stepping into the soft glow of the twilight. He watched as Amelia engaged with a group of children, her laugh like music filling the air, illuminating their spirits. In that moment, Elias knew he had discovered something profound, not just love for Amelia, but for the world they were building together. A world where no one would be deemed a monster, where empathy triumphed over ignorance, and where they could create a future for everyone, hand in hand. As the stars began to twinkle in the deepening sky, Amelia looked over at him, radiant beneath the lights of their newfound connection. She beckoned him to join her, and with a smile, he stepped back into the warmth of the gathering, their hands laced together. "Let's dance," she said, eyes glinting with mischief, pulling him into the tide of people. Around them, hope swirled, tangible, vibrant, alive. They danced together, human and alien, united in a celebration of life, love, and a world free of fear. Together they twirled into the night, a promise written in the stars, one of unity, resilience, and unwavering belief that change was not only possible, but imminent. Hand in hand, they faced the future. They were no longer just Elias and Amelia. They were symbols of a new dawn, representatives of all that was beautiful, hopeful, and possible. Two souls intertwined, ready to forge a legacy woven from love, understanding, and a refusal to be defined by the past.